4x4 and RMC. Let's take a look. Go for it.
Okay, so we kind of mentioned it before. I think Wukong a very high prio for both these, but okay. Interestingly enough, Azir first pick. Trajan was very excited about this pick, and in fact, you know, Trajan, I actually invite you to talk about this because you were telling me all about the house Azir before this.
I didn't get to talk about it. I'm so happy this has happened, right? I saw this come up and I thought, no, I've missed it. But this is what I wanted to see from House. This is what I've been calling for weeks, is that House, he is very serviceable on the Aries, on the Gragas's. He's doing a decent job, but the scaling mages is where he puts up the insane statistics that made him really catch my eye a couple of splits ago. Now I'm so glad that he has taken the plunge here, and it's not just Brunsey having to do all the carrying anymore. Okay, back to you.
Okay, well, we're seeing the rest come through as well. The Kai'Sa Sejuani, Kai'Sa, another different pickup to come through. And I know Hawk was talking a lot about how strong Kai'Sa is on this patch with Static Shift. You can play her mid as well. And she's a good pick into Aphelios as well, because she can outduel the Aphelios in the 1v1 if she gets the isolation. So we'll have to see if Fluxo opt to pick that up. It is still on the table, but they are going to be aware of what it's playing into.
Yeah, and like you said, the Kai'Sa can be flexed into a couple different lanes, but you know, we'll see. Zeri took some nerfs, but Static Shiv is still kind of her way of, unfortunately, back into this meta. Oh, I guess maybe fortunately if you are I'm just a little sick of seeing this champion.
Yeah, but it will be a very different look 4x4 because we're not going to see the bruises area, which I agree. Absolutely disgusting. She gets so tanky later on. Trinity Force, notably, no longer synergizes quite as well with the Zeri Q. So that's another big nerf. And the Static Shift build is an AP build. We are still seeing crit builds come through from Zeri as well. So I'm curious which one we see come through, especially when you've already got the Azir for magic damage. But 4x4, this feels like the patch 13.12 like exhibition game. Like how many different changes can we squeeze in? Because Rel, who has finally been unleashed here in pro play after her changes, of course, she was off the table for 2 weeks. She's back on and she's being picked up for Liberty, so another sort of engage option coming through.
Yep, and it looks like Liberty opting to play a little more front to back. Let's see how the rest of the composition files out. I mean, technically for Liberty, you've got 3 two-lane flexes here. 3 champions that can be played in 2 different positions. But let's see here. They are kind of calling their bluffs. Stock standard, they're saying, nope, this is going to be... Fluxo saying, no, this is going to be a Kai'Sa Rel in the bottom lane, and AC going to power the Sejuani in the jungle, so they're banning out the Gwen. They don't want to give Kiari a carry champion at all.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Kiari actually hasn't played too much Gwen this year so far, but after watching CCK just pop off on it, understandable that you don't want to give it to Kiari, who has been one of the best performers for Liberty. If we talk about Liberty's late game and how they've struggled, well, Kiari's been their standout performer on that end of things, so denying away scaling champions from him makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep, and he even had, you know, Cassante has not been a strong champion in CBLOL, but Kiari has had his moments on it, even in a loss in week 1. He still had his moments on it, and now we'll see what the solo laners end up locking in here. Avenger and Kiari still have yet to lock in their champions. Ezreal, okay, now we're getting spicy, so one of these 2 champions is going to go in the mid lane.
I'm scared for hold me. The other person we've seen play Ezreal has been Raven for Kaboom, the other sort of rookie AD carry that has come up this year, and honestly, the Ezreal hasn't been able to pop off. So now the question is that Ezreal mid or Ezreal AD carry, or is that Kai'Sa mid or Kai'Sa AD carry? My guess right now is a mid into the Azir, where you outrange him with your poke and can build the AP Static Shiv a lot more comfortably. Fluxo, though, rounding out with 2 more tanks for their team, and I'm really liking the Alistar as a potential answer to the engage that we're seeing with the Rel, with the Sejuani.
Yeah, looks like Wukong is going to be that bridge jungler, if you will, and then into the late game, you've got House on a much better scaling pick. Jax will be what Kiari is piloting. You see it on your screen right there. 3 games, 3 wins for Jax, and Kiari will have that in his hands. I like both these compositions, RMC. Mixed damage on both sides, late game, team fight potential on both sides as well.
Yeah, and kind of different looks in terms of what they want to do. So let's start with Fluxo a little bit because I think they look a little bit more standard to us, right? They've got the nice big chunky engages with the Wukong, with the Sion, with the Alistar. They've got knockback as well. Really strong front line for Azir and Zeri. And Azir, Nash's Tooth Azir is the thing right now. You kind of more teamfight oriented rather than the poke Azir we used to see. Zeri, I mentioned it before, you can go crit or you can go AP. With this composition, you kind of need to go crit, but she's going to have so much safety with that front line. It's front to back for Fluxo. Liberty, on the other hand, a little bit less front to back. For hope Kai'Sa, both with the Void Seeker as well as with the Static Shift, to soften up that front line first before they go in. If they just all in right from the get-go, Ezreal and Kai'Sa will struggle to match the Azir and the Zeri.
Now, hang on. I think I saw Ezreal. It is going to be Ezreal mid. You see Ezreal behind Avenger.
Okay, well, you know what? Everything I said about Kai'Sa kind of applies.
It's still going to go. I like what you said there. Yeah, but I think in the match, I mean, does that change the way you think these matchups are going to go in the mid lane?
For the mid lane, no. But I do think it changes the bot lane a lot. Okay. And that's interesting because one of the things that made Hawk think that Hawk was saying is such a good thing for Kai'Sa into Aphelios, it applies to Zeri as well. The fact that Kai'Sa's half an assassin, she's kind of Vayne-esque in her ability to output a lot of burst damage and kill squishies. Zeri's very mobile, but if she ever gets tagged by the Void Seeker, well, Kai'Sa can just dash in with that killer instinct. And remember, we just talked about the fact Zeri can't go bruiser anymore, so she's a lot more vulnerable to this burst damage, and I like this from Liberty. I think it plays into the whole idea of wanting to be able to win out early and win out lanes.
Well, here we go. We said it was going to be spicy RFC, and look, Liberty, they've got their backs against the wall. They are 1-3. They need a win badly, but so do Fluxo. Just 2-2.
What's going on?
Now been a split that has been up to snuff. Can they capitalize on a win over Red? Red, who, as you just saw if you were watching earlier, took down Pain. They are isolated at the top of the table, 4-1. Can they build off that momentum, or will a weird draft from Liberty throw them off?
And really think 4-4, I think pressure's on Fluxo to be able to perform in this one. For Liberty fans right now, sure, you're desperately scrapping for wins. Any win is a good win, but they're not favored in the matchup, right? Like, everybody expected the Academy players to need some time to come online, but for Fluxo, you kept your entire roster. You were supposed to be a strong roster to start off with. Now you've had time to skill up. They're the ones expected to be able to win this, and if they can't win this, if they were to lose, for whatever reason, 4-4, Fluxo fans are going to be putting a lot more pressure on the organization than Liberty fans are going to be, should Liberty not be able to take the win.
Yep, expectations absolutely on the shoulders of Fluxo right now. And Liberty, look, we said it. I mean, look, obviously this team has expectations of making playoffs. Like, you don't go into anything, I think Liberty, I mean, you don't bring in Waz and Avenger if you're not expecting to challenge for playoffs, right? You want to develop as players, yes, but you're not just sitting there like, yeah, I don't know, we'll just, like, because unless you have something to chase, it's really, really hard to keep people motivated. Like, that's just life, right? You can't just, like, tell these guys, oh, we're just going to sit here 9th place and, but you guys are going to get better individually. Dude, that is hard copium to sell there. But so Liberty, I mean, yeah, they need to go forward here and look. Try something here with these spicy drafts, right? Like we saw, in the INTZ Fluxo game, or INTZ Furia, excuse me, Jojo with a good Alistar block there, take Waz away from the engage. If Liberty, they could just try something weird here in the early game, right? That's their strength. Why not?
Sure. And the other thing too is keep in mind, like, AC and Julia might be coming up from Academy last year, but they won it before they moved up, right? They were looking really, really good. So again, they're just trying to somehow transition and make this work in CBLOL. Now, I do want to talk about Julia on the Kai'Sa a little bit as well, because as much as we highlighted AC for having the highest gold difference at 15, Julia has been struggling. He's the second lowest AD carry for gold difference at 15, which surprises me, because this guy looks good on Lucian, on Kalista last split, early game champions, and I'm hoping that maybe the Kai'Sa is what he needs to be able to get that early game and be able to transition. For now though, early on, he's not quite been able to put the poke down on Brentzy as much as we maybe like to see, and he has that kind of timing thing, right? Like, if you can't do it early, it gets harder later on in team fights when Brentzy's going to have the rest of the team around him as well.
Yeah, and that's where you expect Fluxo to be able to play to their advantages, which is that cohesion. But now you've got a little bit of a different look here, right? For House, it's been Annie, Ari. And now you've got him on the Azir that can still be a terror in the late game. My favorite statistic to trot out about House, we'll have to wait a second. Good headbutt there from Jojo. Just takes Waz completely out of the fight.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see. That's exactly why you pick the Alistar into the rel. It is difficult to engage. Every time you want to try, just hit, but right back on. I think that's going to go.
Quick, I want to get in here. The tweet that you saw at the bottom of your screen there, for those that can't read Portuguese. Fluxo, for the love of God, do not disappoint me. Hashtag CBLOL diff. That tells you everything you need to know about where the expectations are for these two fan bases.
Yeah, I think it goes right back to the point we're talking about it. Hey, pressure's on for Fluxo, and they're fielding it perfectly fine right now. We talked about AC needing to be the one to sort of make things happen for Liberty. AC hasn't been able to do that. We saw AC look for the invade on the bot side, but the Samus was perfectly fine, perfectly safe, and Fluxo, they're just looking to scale.
Yeah, and I like to touch on a part of that we haven't touched on a lot. Tay, I like keeping him on just Scion duty. The guy is a veteran. He's got a good nose for kind of when to go in, when to start fights. And if they can just rally in around him and Samus, I think they're going to be just fine. I think Tay's best games have been when he is on a weak side initiator.
Yeah, and even in these trades, actually. One thing I remember we used to joke about in the past for CBLOL top laners is that they don't like to play tanks. Back in 2021, like, only the import players would ever touch a tank.
Yeah.
But Tay, I really like the fact that he has shown that he's a really good tank player, even there in the trades. Look at the CS differential. Granted, Jax isn't the strongest early duelist, but usually his level 1's pretty good.
Yeah, and Kiari's been winning out on these trades.
True, yeah, every time we look up... Well, I think winning is questionable. Like, yeah, Kiari's winning, but Ty's got minion on his side. So the trades are ending up pretty even for the most part, and that's a win as far as Sion's concerned. And now, you know, with the TP back up into the lane as well, Tay sitting nice and healthy, tanking up with his ultimate. He doesn't need the TP as much when he can just ult to get down to lanes.
Yep. Here comes JoJo roaming up on the Alistar. Doesn't have the flash pulverize ready to roll just yet. You see the Kirke shards coming in for both the carries for Liberty. It is beginning, RMC. Both of them building into the static shiv, and then you've got a lot of heavy physical damage for Kiari coming in, and just two beefy tanks for Liberty. Again, this is a spicier draft in terms of what we've seen up to this point in the split, but given where we are in the meta right now, I am obsessed with this draft for Liberty.
That's fair, and the fight though, JoJo.
And JoJo over the wall gets a pulverize onto two there. Avenger taken out of it, but not low enough here. There goes the Shurima shuffle. Oh, it's so good to see a Shurima shuffle on my screen again. I cannot believe that I would be missing it as much as I did. It's like a warm blanket of times gone by, of simpler days when we would see Azir in the meta.
Yeah, and you know what, for if Howes makes a good case for the Azir, I think we're going to see a lot more of it back in CBLOL. But I want to highlight how close AC and JoJo got to dying. And props to Fluxo, because Fluxo, they held that shuffle. They held the Emperor's Divide till they were like, okay, JoJo's almost dead. We'll use it now to disengage. And that's really good communication between the teams. It was a game of chicken. And I can't say either team really won out, because AC did manage to get away alive.
Yeah, no, he got in, but then he was able to get out. Now, he's on a much better spike right now than Samus, but Samus, I think, he's perfectly happy to take the rest of that clear, get into that Caulfield's Warhammer just a little bit later. Newton Quiver has come in for Avenger, lost chapter for Howes. And Avenger, he's up 10 CS in this one. He's using that extra range to his advantage, not even opting for a tier, right? Just taking a completely different build path here.
And that's one of the things you can sort of expect with whether it had been Kai'Sa in the mid lane or the Ezreal that we're seeing right now for the Azir. With the auto attacks, because they are originally designed as AD carries, it's easier for them to farm. They don't have to burn the mana, and they can save most of their mana just for poking out and trading against their opponent. So it is a bit more difficult for Azir in those early levels till you pick up Lost Chapter and actually have enough mana to be able to spam some of those skills. So now that he's picked it up, they're going to be even for a little bit for until static shifts start to come in. Then we're going to see Liberty have basically perma priority in mid and in the bot lane, and a lot of it will just become about map rotations at that point. How quickly can you move, and who can you pick in those moves?
Yeah, and that is a lot easier said than done, as we saw in Game 1 today, right? We saw Weiser build that static shiv, immediately wait on the proto belt, and initially we were like, oh my goodness, it's impossible to match this dude. He's flame horizonting everyone. But then when it got to the team fights, the execution was on the side of red, and Pain just had a little bit of trouble pulling the triggers. So there are two sides to this coin, but especially early and mid game, it's going to be about map points of pressure and your early game macro and using that item to do what it can best, which is create pressure by pushing out waves.
And before that happens, Fluxo are taking advantage of their little window before side shifts are completed. They're able to take that Herald, actually moving up into the top lane. They're trying to bait Kiari.
Yep. And I think Kiari can smell it. He's like, Brunsy's here alone. This is a Zeri. Yeah, she's a little slippery, but something's up here. I don't trust this, so he's not going to take that bait.
Yeah, the Samus gone back with Empowered Recall, of course. Won't be in time to contest the Dragon whatsoever. And that's fine, right? The Herald for Dragon trades are something we see a lot. Though usually teams prioritize the Dragon over the Herald, and Fluxo did make the call for the Herald first. So let's see what they're able to do with it. We did mention, ideally, they try and find a big play before those static shifts come through.
Yeah, that's your little window. I mean, and both these teams are going to be really strong come the late game. Oh, now they're just jumping onto Brunsey. Maybe since that something was up kind of in the opposite sense. Okay, we might get dove here. But with, with the, I think they caught JoJo out on that ward, the 2 wards that they popped down near the Krug camps.
Yeah, Liberty has done a great job with defensive wards left and right, just to make sure they can spot everything. The Samus... Yeah, that's an Ezreal. Most mid laners, you die right there. But even without the flash, Avenger just has so much mobility. Oh, JoJo.
Baby.
Can they do
There's
it?
the Hex Flash. Pulverize into Samus if he can get the ultimate out. Oh, Avenger, he knew he was dead. He tried to get someone on his way out, but no dice. First blood and a Herald charge over to Fluxo.
Were you around back in the Jungle Alistar days?
Let's go with no.
Okay, so that was what Jungle Alistar used to do. They come from behind your turret and they just knock you out, and there's nothing you can do about it if you don't have mobility spells. Watching JoJo do that was beautiful, a flashback. And for Liberty, it's something they have to keep in mind, that it can happen at any time, especially, you know, with the Unbreakable Will. You're really tagged. Turret dive.
Yep, you can use that in the bot lane to start off dives in the 2v2 or in the 3v2. But yeah, Alistar with the Hex Flash as well, you can get creative. You can take different angles. And I mean, JoJo, credit to him. Let's start these types of champions. He's very, very comfortable. Like we saw it in his championship days with Red. He and Titan were just such an aggressive 2v2 bottom lane because JoJo was all over the trip.
You know, I always thought that was Titan's fault, that they were so aggressive, because JoJo was such a good healing support.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that must be Titan calling the aggressive. Like,
and it might have been. I mean, maybe he made JoJo into what he is today.
True, maybe. But JoJo, right? That was all JoJo, man. He's like, I can do this. I've got Hex Flash. I've got Unbreakable. We pulled the trigger, and it was beautiful to watch. Now, they did make the play, though, and now it's Liberty's turn to try and make things happen. AC on the invade, and right now, we're a little bit away from the 15-minute mark, about 3.5 minutes. Fluxo is up goal. This is a rare position that Liberty are not used to playing in.
Yeah, which does make you a little bit nervous, right? Because you think, okay, I mean, if Liberty have had any success, it's been off early leads. Can Avenger join this fight, though? I think that's the question here. House trying to zone Avenger off this fight here, but laying down the damage. Both the static shivs have come through for the Kaisa and the Ezreal. They're on their first legendary items here, so definitely up in power. Let's see what they can do with it to take advantage of it. Dragon not up for another 2 minutes, so this would just be to get kills for the sake of kills.
Well, we're gonna watch what Liberty can do with their legendaries. We're gonna be sat here just watching minions die for a while.
Yeah.
That or poke. Liberty, of course, with the Ezreal, with the Kaisa, a lot of their fighting will be about poking and landing that damage to soften up. Their team fight damage has an initial bit of burst, and that's kind of it. So if they are looking for a pick from Liberty, they've got to find the squishier members, which means House or Brunsey.
Yeah, and these are two champions with a good bit of self-peel as well, right? Azir with the ultimate, Brunsey just doing Zeri things, has the cleanse as well. Kiari putting a beat down onto Tay. Yeah, Tay, we talked about it, invested a lot into that initial tankiness, but now with the Sheen, Kiari coming right back, and he's not taking this lane line down.
But 4x4, Tay has TP. The great equalizer of the top lane when Rumble wasn't picked. Kiari also did TP back to lane recently, so I don't know how much of that damage we're seeing on Tay was put from before and then reinforced when you TP back in. And Tay, yeah, he's already recalled. He's just about to walk back into lane, out back into lane, TP. One of those. But it is good to note because at least it shows that Kiari's in a pretty good spot, and that lane, the longer the game goes on, should be more and more in favor of Jax in the 1v1. Not that Fluxo is going to be looking for a split push anyways.
No, they're not. I mean, yeah, you send Tay to answer the split push, right? Because that's what I think Kiari is going to be looking for. Jax thrived in the 1v1 in split push scenarios, right? With that teleport once it comes back up, of course. But yeah, that's not going to be Tay's job. They want to fight 5v5 here. And we haven't seen a lot of action in this early game, like you said. Maybe a little bit of a surprise for Liberty, but it's not like they're down like crazy either, right? And so we haven't seen, these kind of knockdown, drag-out team fights just yet. Dragon up in another 15 seconds, so maybe that's where we get our first glimpse of it. But they have been, they've been looking here. Brunsey, he's got himself a static shift, so that's now 3 that we are seeing.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if we're going to see AP Zeri, I kind of hope not, because it helps the static shift, and I think a lot of the game, they need the physical damage from Fluxo.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes in terms of the rest of the field coming through. Liberty, though, for we kind of mentioned before, they don't really want to fight, and so they are stepping away from this. They're saying, okay, Fluxo, you're going for Dragon? That's fine, we'll trade you. Dragon for Herald, and Turret to boot, because Chiari is up there. And unfortunately, it's going to be on Fluxo to try and force these team fights. They've got all the tools they need for it, but Liberty, yeah, that's a Johnny ult. It's probably going to be more for disengage than engage.
Yeah. Now the Herald has spawned here, so yeah, I think they were just waiting for that. Like you said, AC just kind of playing bodyguard. We still might get the fight here. Jojo up and looking. The Void Seeker takes a little bit out of him. In goes Tay. He gets one with Decimating Strike. Just kidding. Avenger able to Arcane Shift out of there. There goes Jojo. Getting everybody with it. Desamas trying to get the Cyclone down. Who's going to come out on top in this fight? Julia able to take down Jojo. Woz taking up a lot of damage. Brunson really not doing a whole lot of damage. House gets the Emperor's Divide off, but it's Tay on the board with his first kill as well. Now Liberty turning tail and running. Juliera maybe looking for an angle, but House goes over the wall looking comfortable as ever on this Azir. 100% KP.
But I feel like we just walked out of, a lightning storm right there with all the bounces that we're seeing from Static Shift.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it wasn't really lightning. It was static at the end of the day. The big damage, the big burst of damage was coming from Desamas. Look at the poke and watch the quote-unquote AD carries with Brunsey trying to just chip away at this damage. It's really not that huge. Instead, watch when Desamas goes into these fights. Like, right there, the Cyclone doing the damage. And unfortunately, I think everybody kind of got baited, and they were just like, oh, we can leave Desamas alone. He's not the threat. We can leave Chiari alone. He's not the threat. No, these guys are the ones doing the work. If not, even Juliera takes forever to kill with just the poke that's coming down for Brunsey and House.
Yeah, and that's the weakness with the Static Shiv. As also want to point out that Jojo ended up picking up the Herald for Fluxo. Sure. They didn't come out with that, but it's Jojo that, with that initial kind of engage there, was able to grab it, so able to swipe it away, actually, because it was Liberty that started that fight out, right? AC was trying to guard that, but Jojo, I don't know who ended up stealing it, but
Desamas smashed the Smite Steal.
Okay, so there you go. The Fluxo do come out on top in that one, and they are ahead a little bit here, 200 gold, but now the items are going to start to come in here, and House as well, especially. He's got the Ludens that has come in here, and into this composition, yeah, I mean, your threat is not any sort of true tank. Up to second Herald. Hey, right there into the tower. Yeah, so they get something out of it. So 2-1 up here, or excuse me, no, that's the first tower of the game. 1-1, able to respond. Our Fluxo up 500 gold.
Yeah, and that, don't forget, Liberty did get the first one, trading it for that first Dragon. And pick up the Herald to boot as well. Jojo coming over the wall again, just looking for whatever you can find, but the poke from Liberty is good.
And AC gets the stun down onto Desamas, point blank. Chiari able to get the stun there onto Tay, but that's not who you're looking for. Avenger trying to deal the damage. Jojo with the re-engage. They get the CC onto AC, but it's just for disengage purposes.
And that's a 4v5, 4v4. House was just up top chilling this entire time. Unfortunately for Liberty, if you are going to run a double static shift comp like that, it's going to take you a while to really come online. And you could see the poke was good, but the actual fighting, not great. They still have to be scared of Fluxo.
Yeah, they can't really do much. Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, the strength of this item is in the wave clear, and you are going to have to wait to get it going. Nashor's Tooth has come in for Juliera, but still not at that mythic item just yet. Avenger, I mean, if anything, I was surprised by the damage that his ult did, right, with the magic pen and the early kind of AP. But that's, I mean, if you're counting on that for Ezreal, which you got a different problem.
Yeah, 100%. Fluxo, I love that as well. They get forced back by the poke, and you're like, wait, hold up. Now that the poke's out, we know we can do this. They can walk up. And I want to see more of this from Tai and Desamas, actually. This confidence from Fluxo at this point in the game, knowing that we are ahead, we can brute force these fights. And even under turret, Liberty's kind of squishy. If AC's not there, Woz can't be the primary tank. He's a support. He doesn't have enough gold to get tanking.
Yeah, and he's not even on a mythic item just yet. Almost 20 minutes into the game. See how this one plays out. Up about 1,000 are Fluxo. And still only 4 kills early. RMC, we have gotten some, even across the Furia INTZ game, it took until about the 20-some minute mark to get 10 kills. These have been much slower paced games than we're used to in this region.
True, and I'm blaming Static Shift for this one. AC?
Yep. Yeah, there's just not enough damage. You can't do anything. Avenger throws out the ultimate, but it's taken a little bit for Liberty to shoot through anybody. That hurt a little bit, though. Jojo, like you said, he's not really a true tank. Tay goes in, goes, uh-oh, my team's not here, and he just gets right back out.
Yep, that's a UK Scion right there. Slow train service, unfortunately, arrived late. And
damn, catching strays.
I'm sure Trajan will sort me out later on the desk, but for now, he's not here. And they still have engage options for Fluxo, but they opt not to go in. Jojo has already been chunked out, and yeah, they're just going to say, we'll give the second Drake to Liberty. I liked originally what we're seeing with Fluxo trying to push into the mid lane, but they don't really go for that. So Liberty, at the end of the day, it feels like if they can survive the initial engage, they win the objective trades.
Yeah, I mean, in extended fights, right now I'm favoring Fluxo, definitely. Yeah, especially because of the damage that House can do and the way that he can. They've got a couple tools to reposition, right, and a lot of CC to help the damage dealers of Fluxo really shine and live up to their potential. Kiari, now he's doing split push things. You see the impact that he's having. Up to level 13 now, one of the richest members on the map here. That Divine Sunderer got the armor stacking going as well. But yeah, no, this is a very careful game from both of these teams.
And ironically, Kiari doesn't build a static shift, and he's probably the best split pusher right now. Or best at least staying around, because the static shift, great for pushing waves, but it's not safe enough for you to actually try and take those turrets. Whereas Kiari, with the traditional Divine Sunder and the Jax, can actually stay and take a lot of these turrets. 4-4. I'm gonna be honest. I'm hoping for more action right now. I'm not a fan of the League of Shivs that we're seeing so far,
no.
And I'm looking at Fluxo to kick this one up. They've got all the tools, and at every objective fight, they should be there contesting. They should not be giving free Drakes over like the last one.
Yeah, and you saw a little bit of that early, right? You saw the objectives being traded, and that was fine. But you hope that they don't just start bleeding out this gold. Now, and Fluxo, they've got themselves onto more important spikes now. Tay is going to be a meatball, but Mythos have come in for the Samus and for Brunsey, even more importantly. And Tay, bam, he got himself a huge chunk of gold, finally resetting, and he's got himself the Jack show. Now he wants to fight for Fluxo. Liberty, they're still not online just yet, right? Avenger, God bless him. He does not do a lot of damage right now. Now the Night Harvester has come through here. So he's going to get those resets, get that CDR here. But you see, again, how quickly Liberty are melting these waves. But it doesn't feel like they've got control here. Hold on. Fluxo, they might be looking for something. Juliera very wisely not stepping up without any vision. We'll see who they jump on. Samus over the wall. Jojo able to get the pulverize down. Lightning crash over. DC layering. It's not enough. Tay in there. Ooh, that's a whole lot of damage. Now triple TPs coming in. The cavalry is here for Liberty. Oh no, Kiari with the TP of Doom. He goes down disjointed from Liberty, and it's their undoing.
Yeah, just a couple of seconds too late, and that's all Fluxo need to do. Force the engage. Oh, Juliera! The killer instinct I've never seen one. Not just the ultimate, but Juliera's killer instinct. This is what we wanted to see from his Kai'Sa, from what we've seen from his Lucian, and that was actually massive for Liberty. That stops any Baron attempt. Did in its tracks.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that is huge. And I think you can see House on his camera. He is not happy. He is tilted. He is very, very upset that he got picked off like that. And I would be too, because like you said, this is a game that was just like, somebody do something, please. And it finally looked like Fluxo was going to be able to start mowing down this Baron. Juliera said, not today. Back to a lane, you know, kind of just a ping-pong wave state we go.
And for I've got bad news for anybody who's interested in action. That not only put a stop to the Baron from Fluxo, that's also probably going to slow down Fluxo as well on any major objective take. Because now you've got to worry about the poke from the Ezreal, from the Kai'Sa, both who are at 2 items. And who's going to play keep away at this point? It's got to be Ty. Anybody else who gets tagged right now probably gets melted. You can do that to House. You can do something similar to Samus as well. He's not very tanky. Jojo without Unbreakable, he goes down like a sack.
Yeah. No, it's like he said when... oh gosh, it was in game 1, I think it was Karaoke. Yeah, Karaoke built that the even trap, right? And that's what Jojo's got. Like you said, that's a support item. That doesn't give you the raw tank stats, right? You were there to amplify your other damage dealers. And again, with the amount of damage you have coming out in Fluxo, that's fine, right? The Shadow Flame is there for House. He's going to start melting kids if he can get his hands on it. But like you said, that's going to be an if. And now you're starting to see Liberty, maybe, yeah, I mean, that was a Q that hit Brunsey that took down a third of his HP. That wasn't even with the W proc either.
Yeah.
Like, Avenger's starting to hurt now.
Yep. Ty is still fine. You can see Ty tanking it
Yes.
up, but Ty needs to be in the front line. And if
Yep.
Ty ever... The thing about body blocking is actually not as simple as it looks either, because you've got two moving people, right? If one's static, then it's easy for the other person to kind of block. But because they're both moving, that's why Brunsey got hit, and might yet get hit. Liberty, right now, holding in a 4v5. Chiari is just split pushing with no teleport. So, Fluxo, there's a window here. I'd love to see the Samus go on that deep flank initiative.
That maybe is what he's trying to do here. He's got the angle. JoJo in to Samus as well. That is so much damage with the lightning crash down. Health bars are low all over the place. Avenger Arcade shifts away from certain death. That ultimate does a little more than you're expecting at Ezreal. Now Chiari has joined the fight. No one has died just yet. You see that 0 by Chiari. He goes in, gets the flash out of House. House already blew his ultimate. Now who's going to survive this one? Samus in. He's got the damage necessary, and Brunsey takes them down. Finally getting to a spot where he's starting to hit. Avenger is far away, but he can do something if he can get the poke down. Tay, yeah, I mean, just body blocking. Like you said, Avenger's taking a while to shoot through. Juliera going in. He gets interrupted with a decimating smash, and that might be it for him. He's taken out of the fight. AC trying to follow up. It's not going to be enough. Avenger does get the kill, but Brunsey picks up his third of the fight.
Really well played from Fluxo. And again, it feels like the patience game. I love the fact that Fluxo rationed out the engages. They held the Cyclone for so long, and Liberty probably thought, hey, we can maybe go in now? No, surprise. Fluxo still has cards to stop you, and Fluxo have to keep doing that if they ever fully commit. You see how slippery Liberty is on a lot of these plays as well. Now, the initial engage was onto AC, and I think that was the only thing that I kind of didn't like coming out from Fluxo. It's the fact that you're blowing everything on this Juani. I'd have loved to see maybe just the hit but pulverize, and everybody turns onto Avenger immediately. But thankfully, because hit but pulverize is just a basic ability, they had everything else they needed to follow up on this fight. And great flash away to make sure that Chiari didn't stun up House to start things out.
And DeSamus comes in over the top. And it's just so easy for Bruns. We talked about DeSamus and his power in the early game when you've got your carries kind of sitting on not a lot of items. Your Azir hasn't scaled yet. You've got the static shift still on the Zeri. What he's able to do. I want to shout out Avenger, right? Was able to take down House, able to keep himself safe, but it's really tough for this team now. Man, look at that ultimate. I'm just the damage on this Ez ult continues to surprise me.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a Lich Bane probably completed soon as well. And Avenger's gonna really start chunking. But one thing to keep in mind for that's House. He's chunking. Okay, never mind. That's JoJo. He's chunking now too. The point I was gonna make before I see what he did to JoJo was that as long as Ty and JoJo are standing up front, it's still not gonna hit that hard. But as we said before, Brunsey and House get tagged, then that's an issue. And so far, we saw Juliera as well dive that back line. Juliera didn't manage to get the kill. And if not for Avenger managing to tag that Q onto House, Juliera could actually have baited his team into an even worse position with that kill instinct that didn't find the kill.
Yeah, it was so close. And Tay just got the decimating smash down. Chiari back down to the bottom lane, trying to make an impact on the other side of the map. He's got his TP back up. It's on to that Black Cleaver. AC gotten himself his mythic item as well. Radiant Virtue is so good on the Sejuani. Even after the tweaks to it, that is a brutal item, and it's just going to help out a lot, I think, right? I mean, you saw at the end of that fight, Liberty, their damage dealers were down to really low health bars. Brunsey gets a chunk taken out of him. And hopefully that Radiant Virtue can keep him alive just a little bit longer, give him a little bit more. Juliera, he's got himself a Ginsu now as well.
Yeah. However, I'm going to be honest, like, all this poke is good. All these map rotations are good. But let's see some action. Chiari, split pushing bot side, hopefully puts Fluxo on a timer, because Tay has gone down to try and answer. But you can see that it's not the most efficient, right? Like, Tay on the Scion is matching, but Chiari can still do chip damage. And over time, Chiari is going to start winning that out. Fluxo is the one on the timer.
And Chiari knows that he's got to just take Tay away, right? Because like you said, Liberty, if they're chunking down anyone but Tay, that's good, right? But I've been impressed with Fluxo on the other side. Brunsey and House have been laying down the poke of their own. They've been zoning away, right, these damage dealers from Liberty. And so, again, but I think we're gonna have to wait till another objective to come out. 3-2 in towers. The gold's only 2,000 apart. 2-2 in dragons. The heralds have been pretty even as well. Yeah, this one is still on the knife's edge. Look, RMC, I'm with you, man. I want to see some action. I really, really badly. Bruncy, he's got himself the Lord Doms. Now, did Lord Doms get some changes, or am I making that up?
I don't think it got changed this patch. Or if it did, it was not really significant.
Yeah, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah. I mean, it's a solid pickup for Bruncy here, I think, because you do need to cut through AC, and we mentioned before, like, that, hey, Bruncy needs to have physical damage to be the one cutting through these tanks. So I think it's a better pickup right at this moment, because that's the job of killing Ezreal and Kaisa. That's not Yoli Bruncy's problem. 44, I will say though, I did see Static Shiv already, like LEC has played it, right? Split and stuff like that. I did not think I would hate it as much as I do here in CBLOL, because the League of Static Shiv has caused this game to just slow down. Literally, I'm watching the sideways for macro, and suddenly rotations don't matter, because it's so easy for everybody to clear sideways that you can't really set up proper like minion waves or crashes in the side. And because of the poke comp from Liberty, they don't want to fight. Fluxo can't fight, and we're just kind of sat here watching dodgeball.
Yeah, watching dodgeball, watching ping pong, whatever you want to call it. But it's I've seen dodgeball and ping pong games with more action than what's said. It's just been reduced to a macro fest here. Kiari back where he's been the last 20 minutes here. He's got TP. How's off in a side lane as well. He's trying to just get some purchase onto this mid lane turret, get the push out before the contact. We are going to see a fight here soon, RMC, and the Baron up as well. See if the two teams just try to trade. Jojo going up there to clip it. Ty, he's got himself a force of nature. Make him even harder to chew through. Ty is going to be unkillable. And those pen items haven't come through for anyone except Avenger.
Yeah, the poke's really not going to work. And one thing we kind of didn't touch on Liberty, they're opting much more heavily into magic damage as well. So that was maybe quite effective. Are we finally going to see the fight? It's kind of split, but neither side really wants to commit just yet.
Desamus and Kiari, a wet noodle divine sunder fight down there. Kiari 3 levels up though on Desamus. There's no secret about it. He should win that one. He goes right in onto House immediately, but House able to get Kiari off him. It's a 3v2 where the rest of Liberty shows up. Maybe they can swing it in their flavor. House thumb. How is able to live this, but Desamus is out and House is out. Now Liberty have a big numbers advantage if they just turn on to Tay. If they turn on to anyone but Tay here, but that's so much damage from Bruncy. Zeri having a Zeri moment 3v4. What in the heck? Jojo gonna walk away with his life with the unbreakable will. Now Fluxo get the TP back. Can they turn this around? It looks like they can. It's not just Bruncy, it's the whole Goon squad coming in. House doesn't have ultimate, but maybe he can still close this gap. He will not. They will play it safe and opt for the Baron. Maybe they're really low.
Yeah, I don't think they can actually take the Baron, especially not when Julia is still up available, can poke them down and can still look to go in and burst people. But Dragon is definitely takeable. And 4-4, we're saved! CBLOL delivers again.
Finally.
We thankfully have action. And what a mechanical feast as well. Everybody on a nice edge in that fight.
Yeah, no, it was really tough. The fight in and of itself just swung 3 or 4 times back and forth. Let's get a replay of this because we need it.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you can see the teams didn't really want to commit. They were just kind of poking around until House showed up on the ward, and they were like, wait, House is isolated. We can go for this. But I can't believe House actually got away. The stopwatch, the flash, and then the slide as well to buy so much time. But hold up, we got to stop. AC got knocked to the pit.
He got knocked into the pit, now he goes right back out. Maybe he's thinking, wait a minute, maybe do I want to be in there? Do I want to try to steal this? No, we want to fight. Able to get the smite down is Desamus. Kiari hops out of the fight. Liberty, they've got the chase on. Remember, Bruncy can do a lot of damage, but he's extremely low. He didn't back after that last fight. So they walk away with the Baron. Liberty giving chase. They can't get anything. Fluxo get in, got what they came for, and they are out.
I don't know how that started 4-4, but I know that how it ended. And you're right, AC wanted to stay in that pit, but you can tell they weren't ready, Liberty, for that Baron take. Juliera was not in a position to actually follow up, and now they've got problems. We see Ty running it down mid, getting a bit of the inside track, and Liberty, they've got to be careful. With the Baron buff, the minions aren't as easily cleared by the Static Shiv anymore.
Yep, all that extra armor, magic resist, they're going to do a little bit more to the towers as well, and now they've got big bodies behind them. Tay's health bar looks like a ruler. He is thick with 3 C's and a Q. He is monstrous right now. 1-0-5. Again, this is what you want to see Tay on, right? Just like let him cook. None of them cook. Let him simmer, right? Let him slow burn. Let him pressure cook on the crock pot.
Yeah, we got to savor the smoke. Is that the slowest form of cooking? Smoking
Yeah,
meats?
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's extremely slow. Yeah.
Fair, yeah. But definitely, Ty's getting up there. And earlier, we talked about the fact that there isn't really a physical, consistent damage threat from Liberty. The closest you have is Chiari, who is still mixed damage. Well, that's going to be a problem, because there is no good magic damage item that will consistently cut through attack. Like, you can build a Leandrius, and that's % health, but it's not as effective as just auto attacks with the Lord Dom's regard that we're seeing from Brunsey. And now that's going to be a problem. We touched on the Baron as well. There's still 1 more minute, but even without the Baron, by the time it's gone, time might be unkillable, and I'm worried about how Liberty are going to approach objectives when Fluxo are set up at them.
Yeah, no, it's so hard. And again, you see what Avenger can do into a quasi-tank, and you see what the poke can do as well, right? And now he's got himself the Sheen, right? Maybe he goes for that Lichbane, finally Avenger, but I like into the Void Staff, go in there initially. Here, P flank from Liberty, gets the ultimate there onto Jojo. He goes Chiari, he's trying to get into the back line. Jojo knocks him away, gets the stopwatch down to buy him some time. Brunsey has the turn. House with a really good ultimate, keeping Brunsey safe. He popped the stopwatch. Do they have the damage to survive? Looks like they might. The net fight's still on a knife's edge. AC trying to front line, but he might be toast here. Double kill for Desamis. Somehow, Brunsey still alive, but somehow not a clear victor in this one.
Yeah, and you know what? Despite the fact that Liberty walk away trading 3 for 2, the numbers look bad for them. I'm counting that as a Liberty win.
Yep.
Because that was a Baron buff push. And frankly, Liberty need to force fights like that. They notice Ty's not there and they pull the trigger immediately. Huge props to that.
Desamis coming back with a force of nature and a stopwatch, realizing that his role is shifting now, right? He's got to be an engager and he's got to buy time for his carries, right? They are still slippery. You saw House with the disengage. Brunsey, he's bursted his stopwatch already. But yeah, I mean, that was just got to keep Brunsey alive. House, he hasn't had his best game yet, but he's serving his purpose here on this big scaling magic damage threat. And now Juliera got himself the Rabadons. Like you said, RMC, a lot of indexing into magic damage for Liberty.
Yeah, and Liberty need to start landing their pro. One thing we haven't gotten to see from Liberty with this composition so far is actual siege and poking down Fluxo.
Yep.
They are kind of going in when Fluxo is still above 3/4 of their health. Then understandably so, Fluxo's not giving them the time. But for these neutral objectives, especially, when you've got a poke comp like that, you either need vision around the pit and corral the enemy into the pit, or you need to be there first and contest every inch of ground so that you have more time to put down the poke. For now, though, Liberty, they can't even get out into their jungle, much less to an objective.
TP down from Avenger. He's got himself the Void Staff. Juliera almost there. Chiari looking for something onto the Samus. Gets the stun down. The Sun Disc has been destroyed. Shuriman's everywhere. Up in arms with the atrocity committed. There goes. Holy smoke! Avenger! Man, that Void Staff hitting like a truck. Brunsey, he has no cleanse either. He's got no stopwatch. This is huge.
He's desperately trying to lifesteal with his Breathless there as quick as he can. That doesn't give you a shield anymore, so that poke's good. Problem is, Fluxo have already reset at this point. They're kind of good to go, and this is what I'm talking about. Liberty contest every inch. They're focused on Dragon, though, instead of poke.
Waz looking for an angle to get the Magnet Storm down. Tay looking for an angle to go in. Brunsey back up to a respectable amount of HP. In goes Desamis. Chiari pops a stopwatch. Juliera free firing in the backline. Chiari taken down very low. Somehow he might survive, but the fight goes on without him. Juliera stunned up. Jojo gets the CC on him, but he can't get any damage on him. Doesn't matter because House, that damage is on to Waz. Shut down for Jojo. Fluxo walking away with this one. Avenger in the 1v1 with House. He can't land. He's dodging. House. Avenger almost got absolutely styled on, but eventually able to get the kill before he goes down. Fluxo on top.
And these are the highlight reel plays for I4 that made Trajan a fan of House. Did you see how that fight started? He was down to 30% health, 1v1ing Avenger. Sure, he dies, but he did more damage than Avenger did.
No, he was working with 2 health bars there because just by his movement, he created himself another one. And now, Tay walking in there, speaking of health bars, 1-0-10 with a frozen heart. This is the Tay we wanted to see, ladies and gentlemen. He is taking absolutely no damage, but he's got to peel. Kiari's in there, and he's got to get something down here. If Vods can get enough CC, get enough peel for Kiari, maybe they can turn something here. Fluxo on the verge of a victory. Kiari might have something here. Oh my goodness. Brunsy, stop it. Man, that Lord Dom's doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Liberty needs to kill Brunsy. That's not happened. We talk about 1-0 and 10 tie. Look at Brunsy, 8-0 and 8. He hasn't been killed either, and not for lack of trying. Liberty just can't finish him off, and even in that fight, part of me was terrified. If Kiari died even a second sooner than that, ooh.
Yeah.
No, he's fine. Or is he? Juliera is also trying to follow up. But if Kiari had died a second sooner, if Was had ended up going down as well, Fluxo can just look to end with desynced death timers. Oh. Well, Dragon's still up for it. I completely forgot about that.
Okay. Hey, that's not nothing. That's an objective bounty too. Right? Cut the gold deficit down from like 10k to 8k. Might not be able to reset and do anything with it. JoJo's got himself a Knight's Vow. I imagine he's putting that on Brunsy. Because he's still your giant carry. I mean, Zeri, with these items, right? The Static Shiv early game trough is over. All three of these characters that have built this item are incredibly powerful.
Yeah, the problem is some of them are more powerful in fights and some less so, right? And we've still not gotten to see, unfortunately, Avenger and Julia land the poke. Their damage output in fights is nothing to scoff at, though. Avenger, especially on this Ezreal. Yes, How's won that fight, but we've also seen Avenger slowly chew through the likes of JoJo, the likes of the Samus in some of these other fights as well. So Liberty is still nothing to scoff at. They're just struggling to cut through the absolute unit that is Tay, who now has also like, the Frozen Heart already in inventory as well. Make sure that now Kiari is going to struggle as well in terms of trying to fight through and cut through the absolute unit.
And Kiari, he got himself an Anathemas now. So I think, imagine, again, he's putting that on Brunsy. And he's got himself a Guardian Angel because he knows that all the attention is paid onto him. All eyes on the Zeri, ladies and gents. AC looking for a way in, and Baron just melts in 2 seconds flat. JoJo gets the headbutt down onto AC. Here comes the TP. House gets taken down low by the Israel ultimate. Kiari looking for a flank. This is everything for Liberty. If they can get something down, Desamis with the Cyclone to disengage. He's got the second Cyclone. That's the CC that they need. And Desamis grabs the tank. AC is down, and now they head for the hills. House laying down the damage just for fun. But it was the one little moment that they needed, and Desamis saw it, it out, and crushed him. Brunsy, that is so much damage. Avenger almost timed the Q perfectly, and Brunsy will go down, but no one will get credited with a kill. Fluxo look like they have the damage, the ability to wrap this one up. Just got to dot some I's and cross some T's.
Brunsy 1v2'd the other two AD carries in the game. Zeri is still well and alive. Rumors of her death have been greatly exaggerated. Yes, Trinity Force is no longer the best item for her, but the Static Shiv Brunsy makes it look just as good.
And yeah.
I'm a little stunned, honestly. I am a little stunned to see what we've seen here. So, there's a lot of questions that we had going in here, especially after the draft. You guys had some interesting things to work through, and despite the fact that, you know, RMC may have taken